Recording. All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How was everyone doing? Welcome to another episode. We are back with the usual suspects, but we got some here today. Oh man. Okay. Hey, what's going on, Jay? How you doing, man?
Oh, great, 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 great. Hey, all's well. Hey, in Atlanta, it's nice and hot. Great.
All right. And we got some special guests with us here today, one from each sector, commercial and residential real estate. I'll go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Whoever would like to go first, you have the floor.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm Corin Brown. I'm a business system analyst and real estate agent. I'm no stranger to North Carolina. I've resided in Fayetteville, and I've called the North Carolina Triad my home for nearly 20 years. So I've seen firsthand on the North Carolina side the tremendous growth and transformation over time. I've assisted my husband, William Brown. He's also a real estate with me. We are the Broker Brown team for the last 3 years. We are with Coldwell Banker Advantage, and it is my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice having you as well.
Okay, hi. I'm Andrea Mullen. I am a real estate investor, developer, and entrepreneur. I reside in New Jersey, but we have a couple of projects that are not only in New Jersey, but also expanding to Delaware. We're looking at some stuff in Florida as well. So our goal is to expand to 50 states and doing real estate development.
Now, how long you been in real estate? Just curious.
Yeah, okay. That's a very interesting story because I tell people I am on my third life. I initially started out as a social worker and transitioned to doing pharmaceutical sales, but always loved real estate. So initially, I stopped doing pharmaceutical sales and was working on my first project. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be this big time developer, and was doing 18 condos and 3 stores, and the market crashed, and so did everything else. But never gave up on the dream of doing real estate. So I am back with actually a lot bigger projects, and looking to, as we develop others who are interested in doing and learning about real estate development and investment. So one of my business partners started Asher Capital Investment Fund, which is a real estate fund, and Asher Capital Holdings, which has a number of each of our projects underneath that umbrella. So we're currently we actually just got a 48 unit approved in Newark, New Jersey. We have a 225 unit that also has a zoning approval in Wilmington, Delaware. That'll be like our flagship project. And then another 100 unit in Newark. So they're all in different phases of development, of the development process.
So you will be pretty busy. So that sounds like a lot.
Yes, life looks a lot different in about 12 months.
Okay, great, great, great.
So yes,
Well,
absolutely.
well, well, thank you, ladies, for coming out here. Well, we're going to appreciate your expertise, which you can provide to our audience and to me as well. I look forward to the information, and I'm gonna turn it over to Tack right now. Go ahead,
Okay.
Tack.
Corin, did you say I don't believe you stated how long you were doing real estate, or maybe I missed it. Did you?
I've been assisting the Broker Brown team for 3 years.
Okay.
And I,
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I guess we can just start this off with the first question, and that's basically just home ownership, and why it matters. I guess more specifically, Black home ownership, and why is that such a strong thing in today's society, or should be a strong thing in today's society? Just getting your thoughts on it as someone who is the homeowner real estate expert.
well, for most Americans, home ownership is the largest component of their wealth, right? So when we talk about Black home ownership in America, the narrative is still in progress. It's still in the making. The progress is slow, but we're still evolving. There was a statistic that came out from the U.S. House of Representatives Committee of Financial Services that said for the past 15 years, Black ownership has seen the most dramatic decline of any racial or ethnic group. And that, frankly, Black home ownership had descended to nearly as low as it was when discrimination was legal. So when we have this dialogue about the importance of Black ownership, it's more than just owning a home, right? So we have those unequal rates of wealth and home ownership that are symbiotic issues that have persist and continuously leave Black households behind in building general wealth. There are less than 41% Black homeowners compared to 73% of white homeowners. And again, this is just a direct result of decades of racial injustice and economic equality. So those injustices have led to continual wealth disparities. And so when we think about the foundational steps in building wealth, what is that, right?
Right.
It's home ownership. So when I say that Black home ownership is more than just owning a home, it's also the foundation where we can build financial security. It's building on that foundation to establish generational wealth. So having a home, having multiple homes that can be passed down from one generation to the next is a great way to foster that. When you think about it, what happens when there are no assets left to the next generation?
Okay.
They in turn have to find a way to secure sufficient means to pass down to their children. And it's kind of like starting the process over. So having that foundation already established essentially tempers those challenges.
Andrew, how does that dictate on the commercial side as well?
Well, the commercial side, the statistics are, I don't know the exact statistics, but in terms of just doing development and multifamilies, it's extremely low. A lot of times what happens, especially like in an area like Newark, initially it becomes, it was dilapidated. And as the others start coming in to buy the houses, like right now in Newark, it's about 80% rentals. So our goal is to take some of those renters, which are, the Black and Brown community, and turn them into homeowners. So as others come in and buy the homes and rent them back, the mayor is actually really trying to help to change those statistics, because just like she said, and he says, if we don't buy the houses, we will not have any type of generational wealth. It stops with, and unfortunately, some of the things that are happening in terms of the others that are coming into the community and just buying it up, is that stops at that point. Or grandma owned a house and grandma passes away, and the kids have no interest, and just either let the property go, or just take what little bit of means that someone's offering them and go. But at that point, that wealth stops right there. So as a commercial real estate developer, investor, our goal is to take some of those dilapidated properties, turn them back positive, and help to foster the 80% of renters to buy. So commercial is, and a lot of times with us, it's a very, very hard pull, because you're looking at, you have, like, for instance, the land we one of the lands that we bought, it was $1.5 million. Most of us don't have 20% to put down, or 30% to put down. So we are left in the commercial space even further behind, because we don't have that initial cash flow to put down as a down payment, or to get your, what they call, soft costs, your engineering, your architects, and all of that stuff, to get the entitlements to build. So it's an even heavier lift when it comes to commercial real estate and commercial development and investment. So, one of our goals with our fund is to kind of get people started, because sort of like Monopoly, 5 houses is a hotel. The same type of mentality of, you get the first house, you get the second house, you start to build, and you keep building from there.
Okay. Now, you both stated a point that the numbers have gone down. The ability for Black people to, or the fact that Black people are even purchasing homes, have went down drastically. Is it financial, or is it just a mindset? Do you see when you're dealing with clients who are selling or trying to purchase? Either one.
There are actually several factors, I believe, that contribute to this home ownership gap. We know that there was a spotlight, a national conversation, if you will, during the height of the pandemic, and during this unprecedented market, right? We've seen this extreme buyer's market, right? So when we talk about home ownership gap, I don't believe that we can kind of just look at it in a vacuum. We kind of take it back and bring it forward. So, let's take it back very briefly, just give like a brief historical context, right? So we have this housing bubble burst of the 1920s, which was this huge contributor to the Great Depression. And in order to revive mortgage lending for home purchases, for constructions, for improvements, Roosevelt signed the National Housing Act of 1934. So, and that you had the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, was created. And so when the FHA began insuring those homes, right, they began insuring home mortgages that required those homes to be in white-only neighborhoods. So this was this institutionalized practice that was real on the federal level. And so you had all of this revitalization going on, but the Black neighborhoods were left behind. I know you guys have heard about redlining, right? Mm-hmm. So redlining, where actual red lines were drawn on the map that identified predominantly Black neighborhoods as hazardous, and banks used those maps to deny lending and investment services to Black Americans. So lenders would be able to make loans to lower income white borrowers, but not to middle or upper class African Americans. So Black families were unable to secure those regular mortgages, right? So they wanted to own a home, but they were exploited and forced to resort to astronomically priced housing contracts. Mm-hmm. And those housing contracts increased the housing, gave no equity until their last payment was delivered. So when we talk about like the gap, we talk about years and decades of that, and then fast forward to this huge plummet that we saw during the pandemic. The pandemic further exacerbated that gap. So we saw this huge economic fallout. We saw and we felt it. So you have
government was giving a lot of money during that time as well. Now I'm just, I've
but
trillions
think
of
of
dollars into the economy.
trillions into the economy, but think about. I'm going to make this point, and then we'll circle back.
I'm sorry.
So think about. Oh no, you're fine. So think about just think about if you were the stay-at-home orders, right, and other public health measures that were put in place to slow the spread of COVID. What did that highlight? It highlighted the legacy of occupational segregation, right? We saw how we were overrepresented in lower paying jobs, and quite a few of those jobs did not transition to remote work. And then so you couple that with housing cost burdens, housing instability, stemming large from structural racism and a long history of discriminatory housing and lending practices. So what happens to that gap? It widens.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Is that the same thing on the commercial? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just wanted to ask a question, excuse me, for clarity. Now, when it comes to just ownership, whether it be commercial or home ownership, the way that it was taught to, I guess, to us growing up was that you buy your homes and then you essentially rent them out to, other people to generate that wealth. Now, I just, for clarity, is that what you're referring to as far as generating that generational wealth is from buying multiple homes and then renting them out? Or are you just referring to owning multiple properties and then just sitting on them for the property value to go up to sell them later? And that applies for both commercial and residential. I'm just trying to I just want to clarify, just to make sure that people that may be listening to this that may be younger would understand what you're referring to.
When I refer to generational wealth, I am talking about buying multiple properties to rent them out, not to sit on them to wait for something to happen that might and might not happen.
Okay.
Actually, like I was saying earlier, we're at a very interesting time. The interest rates are going up. It is going to be more difficult to purchase a regular home. I see it in just the other day. I was helping someone to to purchase a home, and every week they were supposed to get a clear to close, and every week the bank is getting more pickier and pickier and pickier about what they're requiring for these buyers. So it hasn't hit the masses, but it's going to. And what happened with COVID, unfortunately, too, is that you do have people who purchased a home and their renters did not pay. So in the next year, there's going to be a lot of foreclosures. So unfortunately, what happens to us sometimes, we don't think, the thinking ahead. It's going to be a great time to buy properties for investment in the next year. But if you're not liquid and you can't partner with someone who's liquid, it'll be more difficult. But at the same time, it's going to be a lot of us who are going to lose our houses based on the market and what has happened, either with people who have renters. And I was watching TV and the lady's out $70,000. Where she has no means to do that, to make up for that. So eventually it'll catch up to her. But for someone young and someone hungry, they'll be able to buy something and to get into the game. So it's a win-lose scenario. But if we think ahead, it'll be an opportunity to get into the game, because they already are starting to see declines in the outrageous prices that were happening during COVID. I mean, it was just outrageous. I mean, to buy, I'm like $600,000 for a two-family in the city of Newark is, who's buying this stuff?
Uh,
But
uh,
again, it's going to end up coming full circle. So the prices are starting to decline already.
Okay.
oh,
And
okay,
I can,
so go ahead. I'm sorry, Corinne. Go ahead.
I was just, I was just going to say that is definitely mirrored on the residential side as well.
Okay.
And, just to piggyback on what Andrew was saying, the market has started to slow. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, as she says, we're going to see an increase on some of those houses coming back in a,
Yeah.
foreclosed.
And what they're doing with the office side, with people permanently working from home or less staff coming in, that's going to be a huge issue as well. Like some of these office buildings are empty or 30% empty, 40% empty. You can't sustain that. So people are getting creative with trying to change the zoning to maybe possibly making it a mixed use type of situation. So the next year, 2 years are going to be really interesting, even with office buildings, with a lot of jobs now saying, you know what, why am I paying, $10,000 a month when I can maybe pay two and half my staff and they'll rotate going into the office 3 or 4 days, or some are just permanently working from home. So this is a very, very interesting time. And I can say if you have the means to, partner up with someone or an investment group and, kind of like a shark circling.
Mhm.
And when the opportunity comes to pounce, as Warren Buffett says, when people are running away from the market because it's going lower, we should be running to it to invest. So,
Okay, okay, so the fact that you're saying about probably next 2 years, these people who are in that situation where renters are not paying, the property is going to go up for foreclosure, that in the near future, how how people, if they don't have the money now, how, I just don't see how they're going to be able to meet that demand when the time arrives. Where's that money going to come from? So it looks kind of bleak overall that it's that gap can't, it can be closed, but I don't see how that can happen if they can't financially do it now.
well, now it's like before. The prices were so high, you were priced out anyway. Like a lot of people, you know, and especially, you think of a single mom or something. How would she afford to buy a $600,000 to $700,000 house as a nurse or a teacher? And they make decent money, so the opportunities will be there. They still will be there because the prices are coming down. So it's sort of like what happened before. The bubble happened. You had a huge bubble. Again, same thing. People priced out. People buy, going crazy with trying to purchase something. And then 3 years later or 2 years later, the house is no longer valued at the same amount. And you're out and then the next person's in. So it's not bleak. It'll come back down to some normalcy in my opinion. But
It will.
the rent will go up because that's what
Well,
happens.
rents is coming up now. I see that now.
Rents are going up, and unfortunately, they are not going to come down. I can. What happens is when people leave, people still have to go somewhere. I was actually having an interesting conversation with someone who, again, we were talking about the affordability is what's happening, and they were in Florida, and the person makes $50,000 a year, but can't find a place to rent because their credit score, it's like these barriers. Their credit score is a 640, and can't find a place to go. So it's going to be a nice way for innovative people to come up with ideas to help a person like that, because a person like that can definitely pay. So actually, we're going to start brainstorming and on top of everything else that I'm doing, thinking of ways to help those people who are making decent money, but for whatever reason lost their apartment or the owner sold it and they had to leave and have not been able to find another place to rent. So it's all types of interesting opportunities and specialties that we can partake in, but we also have to have an investor mindset, and that's not a lot of us may are and are not. It just depends into that. But I encourage people that investment is a way to. That's one of the ways. Many, most very wealthy people have real estate and own real estate throughout the country. So that is definitely one of your ways to build wealth and generate wealth in this country.
Okay, Corinne, you get ready to
Right.
say something?
Right, and she's absolutely right. There is no easy fix, right? When it comes to you mentioning, how do we close this gap? Is this still an aspiration? And as Andrea was saying, there's still creative ways out there. There's still tools. There's still strategies. We have resources out there that we can navigate and try to research and find to help these individuals. So is it still attainable? Yes. Is it still important? Is it still necessary? Absolutely. So, what we didn't get here, quickly, and the gap is not going to close as fast. But, strategic, methodical, just finding ways to ensure that each individual, because it's not a one size fit all, but help individuals where they are to find their pathway to ownership.
Okay.
Were you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
well, she was already answering the next question, so there really wasn't anything else I could ask her. But I did have another train of thought though. As far, because I'm coming at this from what I've learned growing up and just trying to maybe disperse some myths and or reinforce some ideas that were taught to me. And as far as the I know owning a home is a big goal for a lot of people. Now when you purchase your home, do you necessarily want to just automatically say this is my forever home, or just purchase it and then rent it out and then like go to another like rental, I guess move into a rental area, so that way you're building money off of that rent that you're making, so that way you can use that rent money and the money that you're still potentially saving to go and then buy your forever home? Like as far as like first steps, I'm guessing that's how I'm looking at it.
Well, I think like rich dad, poor dad. Your home can be your biggest asset and or your biggest liability. But when you go into it thinking, this is, some people, they buy their home and that is their forever home and they have no interest in doing anything else but that, which is fine. Then there's others who say, you know what, this is a great rental. This is an opportunity for me to own multiple homes. So they own their home, they have equity in their home, they use that to buy their next home, and they keep building until their assets actually pay for their forever home. And that's what many investors who are building will tell you. The homes that you have will eventually pay for your forever home and your forever toys and your favorite yachts and the things that wealthy people buy with their assets, as opposed to you going to work every day and buying your home and it's your forever home. So it really depends. But I always encourage people to at least have a couple of things, especially nowadays with as expensive as things are, is to have, instead of having a second job, have a second source of income that doesn't require you to be at a specific place every single weekend for the rest of your life and you're tapped out because you have to take on a second job, as opposed to saying, let me think strategically how I can get an extra $1,000 a month with some work. Nothing is perfect, so don't want to push that, but to be able to earn that extra income and get big tax write-offs and tax breaks as well from your assets.
Okay. And I guess with that being said, going back to you, Corin, what would be some, I guess, good first steps into owning like a home or purchasing a home? Like what would be your suggestions for that?
First, I focus on financial education, including making sure that you know how to budget your income. This means creating a plan to save, to reduce debt, and to invest in your future, because debt impacts your ability to purchase and maintain a home. So before buying a home, work to reduce your debt. Ideally, you don't want to have any debt, but if you do, try to pay down as much as possible, because lenders evaluate your DTI, your debt to income ratio. They want to know how much you earn each month, how much of that is going to go towards paying down your debt, how much of that's going to go towards your monthly payment. So you want to have as much buying power as possible. So if you have too much debt, that's going to reduce your likelihood of getting approved for a loan, or you're not going to be able to finance as much as you need for the home that you did have your eye on. So prioritize your savings, and not just for a down payment. Make sure that, like I said before, that you have a tight budget. Improve your credit. If your credit is low, the chance of getting approved for a loan decreases. Now, are there some lenders out there who do work with individuals who have less than favorable credit? Yes, but ideally, and I think Andrea touched on this earlier, you do want to have credit worthiness that lenders can work with. And then you can go into knowing how much you can afford for the home, having that 5 to 20% down payment. Like I said, know what your credit is, have all your financial documentation in order before you get that pre-approval for a mortgage.
Okay. Now, with the investment property, if you own a home and you look to get an investment property, it's more than 20%, isn't it? Or of the down on a house when it's investment. Is that correct? Or you have to come with more than the normal home first, like your
No,
primary home?
20%, right? 20% will usually do it. I mean, it's all types of ways to actually get second investment homes. I know some are 10%.
Oh,
It
really?
just depends. Yeah, it just depends on you have to do your homework. Even with you buying your first home, there's all types of now, like most places have some type of first home buyership. Like they have some help in
For
terms of
investment or
helping with
investment?
your, no, not for
Or
investment, for
first?
down
Okay,
payment.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
for
okay.
first time. But there are, like I said, there are funds and banks that will do 10% down for a second home, investment home. So it's really about doing your homework. And it's in any state, there's all different types of investment groups and all of that to join, to also to extend into network. So you'll be amazed at what you can find. Like, again, like I said, I went to that diversity in commercial real estate conference last week, and it really opened my eyes to affordable and how much money is out there for people and for us, actually. You know, as one of the things that came out of the unfortunate death of George Floyd is that some of these companies really are putting money behind. It's a very interesting way of thinking, because about a month ago I had the honor to hear Don Peoples, who's one of the most wealthiest real estate developer in the country. He's worth about $1 billion. And his idea, which I agree with, is that as long as they can give us philanthropy, you know, $40 million, but to give us access to a pension fund that has $500 million, not so much. But if I can give you 40, I'll give you 40. But if you come for this 400, that really, really would have an economic impact on some of these cities, that's a whole different ballgame. He was starting a fund for $500 million, and he went to the New York pension funds, for which almost, I think, 60%, 70% are Black and brown people who give their money to this pension. And he was saying, oh, you know, can I get some of that? I'm starting a fund for emerging minority developers. I'm going to put up 10% of my own money. And they told him, since this is your first fund, no. He's like, hold on, I'm worth $1 billion. I've been building for 36 years, but I can't get access to that. No, but so you want 5, you want 10.
But
Cool.
hold on. So you talking about a billionaire trying to get access to money, but you expect the common person to have the ability to get these funds that are available out
again,
there for a first time or investment type situation.
That part of it is small potatoes. You want to do it for yourself. But if I wanted for him to say, I want to really have an impact on a whole host of people who can really change economic things, completely different. You coming is philanthropy. You tag coming, us four coming is philanthropy. But if we came to say, give me some of that 500 million, but that's not going to happen. But 40, yeah, we'll give you, because so it was an interesting thing. But again, you take the 40 and you keep working towards that. But these are some of the, you know, the interesting conversations that you have in terms of, I'll help to a certain extent. It's a, you know, you take the help, take it and use it, and keep in your mind what your goal is. I'll take that. I'll take 40. But my goal is to get to the 400 million. But I'm going to take your 40, because your 40 is it's going to help me get even closer to the 400 million. But these are the types of ideas and things that we don't think about. You know, you think of teachers and stuff, and all, they have pension funds that have, some may have $1 billion. But as a minority developer, I might not be able to access that particular fund. So, you know, but there are programs to help and to help get you started. And just like I said, I learned Amazon now has a fund. Wells Fargo has started a fund. But it's more philanthropy than it is that big chunk that will actually change, can actually affect a whole community. But I'll take whatever I can get to help me at least start the process of helping not just myself, but other people to come after me, because that's important to me and to our fund, is that we want to lay the foundation to keep us having real ownership in our urban communities, which are changing with gentrification. And then as the commercial becomes available during gentrification, so now 1 million turns into, now that building's worth 30 million, because now the houses has been gentrified and now the area is worth so much more. So we're definitely priced out.
So, Corinne, now, do you see it the same as that as well? You running into that? I know you are speaking, Andrew, for commercial and residential, but do you have any?
Right. Absolutely, because you're going to have that overlap. You're going to have that overlap. So that actually very much translates over to residential as well.
But I encourage people, to do your homework. Research as much as you can about the areas. What resources do they have available to help? Like I found out, and Chase, I never thought Chase would have, I think of Chase as, as one of the biggest banks, where if you're going to get a loan from them, you need A paper, A credit, no dings, no history. And they actually have a program, and we're going to be partnering with them for some low-hanging fruit to take some of these dilapidated and abandoned properties and some of the urban areas of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, to put them back on their rent roll. And they have a I think it's up to $15,000 grant. And then they have a program that's even better than the FHA. And it's 3% down. And you don't have to pay what they call PMI. It's a different type of PMI.
But this is perfect
No,
credit, right?
it is not perfect credit, because I don't want to say it's for us. that insinuates we don't have perfect credit.
No, I'm just saying. I thought you were
But
saying it
it's
was perfect credit.
no, I
No
said
dings on your
when you
credit.
think about the bigger banks, you would never think they would have a program like that.
Right.
And most people wouldn't even know. Again, I didn't. I'm like, Chase, because when we think of Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, these bigger banks, their rate of, from what I, knew before, of declining us was higher. And that you didn't even bother going to them unless you had that 750,
One credit,
20%
yes.
down, 20% to put down. I found out and I was blown away. But they actually too have committed to putting, I think the guy said $30 billion in for diversity home ownership. So they want to do like 40,000 properties or 30,000 loans across the country. But again, you come, and if I didn't meet someone who was ahead of that department, I'm like, get out of here. And I'm like, this is better than FHA. You would never have thought to go to Chase to get a home loan.
But on average, when you get a client, what is one of the biggest things you run into that's a hang up when it comes to purchasing a home? I mean, obviously when somebody come to you, they're looking to purchase a home or investment property. What is one of the major things that you run into that maybe that person didn't consider?
Well, okay, I can let Corinne do more of that talking, because that's a rare, like, we have people that we work with, but more so it's when it comes to development. Yeah, but Corinne, you can go into what some of your.
Sure. So frequently, on the residential side, from my experience, usually the challenge is credit. And
Credit and down
like I
payment.
said, right. And so it's usually, some individuals, they have the capital credit, not so much, because, of years of or time of, abuse. So it's, trying to, build that credit back up, and you have, sometimes credit coupled with a lot of debt. And then also down payment, like Andrew was saying, struggling to get those funds together as well. So those are the challenges: down payment, credit, and debt.
So if they have those things in place, there are programs that are out there that the agent knows, or is this something the bank will refer them, or is this some research that they have to do, or do you do it as an agent, give them that information of programs that's available to them?
There's a myriad of things. As an agent, we have knowledge of different programs. Sometimes the client themselves have done their due diligence and they know of programs as well. There are programs that lenders know about, and they relay that information to us, to the agent, as well as to the client. I've worked with a client, didn't know that there was a program in their area, specific to their area, that had, down payment assistance, which was remarkable, in assisting them in getting purchasing a home, and that was fantastic. So the challenges differ from person to person, but like I said, those are the main ones that we consistently see over and over again.
Oh, I'm just soaking in all this
I'm
all this
soaking it too, man.
all this
I am
information.
too.
I'm just listening. It's like,
Okay.
You're like, what? For real?
Okay, I got one
Yes.
more thing. I got another thing. Now we here in Atlanta, these investors are got deep pockets. They're buying a house, is sitting there. It doesn't stay on the market 5 seconds. It's gone. They're calling homeowners to purchase their home straight up cash. I mean, there's not going to be any homes available
It is.
for
Just trust me.
younger
That's gonna
people.
stop. That's gonna stop. Give it about give it 6 months. Those calls are gonna start becoming less and less frequent because if you look nationally, the market is starting to soften, and I'm hearing it all over that the market is starting to
Why are these
soften.
investors buying the property the way they are? And they buying
Well,
it
it was.
at prices that's way above what it was worth a few years
They're
ago.
stuck. They're gonna be
Why?
stuck, stuck. I mean, I have friends too who purchased, and I'm looking at them like, you didn't bother calling me because I would have told you, don't you dare buy this crazy house that they had to keep for 13 years because they brought it back when that first bubble happened. People are going to be stuck because you want to jump in. It's the market's starting to soften now. People were putting in, buying dilapidated properties at 300,000,
Right.
thinking they're going to sell it for 600,000. Well, the 600,000 house is now down to 500 and some change, and it's just going to keep, go back down to a more reasonable place. Now, certain places, Florida is a hot place. They have, I think someone was saying, like 1,000 people coming there every day. Certain markets are still, I believe, are still going to be hot just based on their overall economy. But most places, I mean, it's still going to soften to some extent, but it may not. Some places where it's like New Jersey, the taxes are outrageous. Everything is outrageous now. It's gonna affect this market, more. I think more so when you have higher taxes, and your overall everything else is high. And those people then go to places like my 225 is in Wilmington, Delaware. People from here are moving there because it's cheaper and just keep heading south. And they're driving some of those prices up because they can't find a house at the price point up here of
They're
things that
coming
they
to
want.
Atlanta and buying
They're
these
coming to
houses at
Atlanta.
outrageous
They're
prices.
starting. Some are going up to Pennsylvania,
I
and
love
some
it
are going
because I got a
Delaware.
home and
You like, I'll
but,
keep going up, right? Use some,
right,
take some of that money and
but
buy another.
right,
Hold
but I
it
don't see
and do a shark. Be a
right,
shark. Just circle and wait to that little moment and pounce. But if
right, but
starting from Delaware on south, and the people in those actual places can no longer afford to buy too. So it's kind of an interesting, scenario because I was talking to a realtor in Delaware and she's like, and now we're working from home. You can live in Delaware. My nephew is doing it. He has a job in Brooklyn, but he
these
moved to
people in
Wilmington,
California
Delaware.
moved here from California, but their job is in California, but they could do it
Yeah,
because they work from home now.
because
So the whole
now,
dynamics has changed.
it's changing, which you love to see, just the different interactions and the different opportunities. But I am going to tell you, it's going to soften. It's no way to keep up this type of hot market, and it's
Right.
if you talk to most realtors, they'll say like that line around the corner, for an open house. I had them say it was like 3 people that came. So this is like that was so lines
But you
around the
did say
corners
the
are not
interest rate's
happening.
going up. You say the house is going
Yes,
to
they
be
are. They
is going to
already are.
soften, but the
Yeah,
interest rate's going to be high
that's
on
one
those
of that's
properties as
the
well.
this is if to stop this inflation. I
Have to go
was,
up on the interest
I'm
rate.
not dating. I'm not dating. I was a kid, baby, in the
Mhm.
70s when the
Mhm.
interest rates had to combat the inflation. They
Mhm.
raised the interest rates to over 10%.
Mhm.
It's no way they could do that today. People would just go ballistic. But even 3%, 5%. When I bought my first property was 7%, and that was that was the rate at the time. So to really combat this inflation, they have to keep raising the interest. Unfortunately, they have to keep raising the interest rates, and they really said the unemployment rate needs to be about 5%. So that means people are going to lose their jobs because you can't keep having 9% inflation.
So how's that going to
It
hurt
has
you,
to be
Corinne? I can see it detrimental in the commercial, but Corinne, how's that going to affect you in the residential as well? I mean, is that going to be
Oh,
something?
absolutely. And absolutely. And we're starting to, I know here, and I believe it's in several places across the country, depending on where you live. Here we are starting to see a slow already. The market is starting to slow down. It's starting to soften. You know, in the beginning, I mean, you have people coming from the north coming south because you can buy more house, you can get more bang for your
That's
buck
right.
here, and so we're seeing properties go for over 100,000 over asking,
Mhm.
right? We're seeing
that's crazy.
high due diligence.
Mhm.
The average due diligence was around 10,000. So now we're seeing
Mhm.
it fall to about around 3 to 6. And we had a client who the property was in coming soon status, so it hadn't hit the market yet. It was just like, okay, here's a property that will hit the market within the next week, and someone purchased it 30,000 over asking, sight unseen. Did not step foot in the home, just saw the picture and just bought the prop 30. I mean, so we were seeing that within 1 to 2 days, even before the home hit the market, they were gone. So now we're seeing an average of about 2 weeks. 2
2
weeks on the
weeks.
market. Yeah,
Okay.
some a little more,
Mhm.
but we're seeing the average of about 2
Yeah,
weeks. So
you're starting to
that
see
is a
it slowly, and that is the signs. Like I was talking to realtors, and they're like, coming to my, before it would be a line, now it's 3 people. So it's these are the quiet little things that are happening. That's honestly, I believe we're already in a recession. If you don't think that, but just like when I went to this conference, she's like one guy said he had closed like a $30 million deal in a multifamily in February. That program is no longer existing in the bank right now. And another fund manager was saying a couple of her banks are on the side, just waiting. And we started a real estate fund, and we're a part of a real estate. It's called National Private Lenders Association, NPLA, and a lot of the owners of the funds, it's requiring more money down, it's requiring more experience, and if you have to partner, your partner has to go on the loan. So it's now just going to get more and more. Not that it's of course
Mhm.
it's real estate, but it'll come back to it'll even itself out, and that's the cyclical nature of
right.
anything
Okay. Yeah.
So
Okay. The show is the know and think they know. Now, the think they know is the younger generation. So, y'all ladies, what is the age group you see coming in to purchase? Uh, are the youth walking away from home ownership, thinking it's more convenient to be in apartments and not have to worry about yard work or house maintenance? Or are you seeing a increase in that, the youth compared to older generation?
No, I'm not seeing that, and I think that was the thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think initially there was a thought that the younger generation was going to shy away from buying properties and go more towards you
Townhouses,
know,
condos, stuff like.
condos. And so there was like this influx of build.
Mm-hmm.
But you have some that do, but I'm not seeing that.
Okay.
Some prefer town ownership for various reasons,
Mhm.
maintenance, what have you, different amenities. But I am seeing individuals in their 20s purchase homes
Okay. Okay.
across the board, and I'm seeing more seasoned home
Mhm.
buyers selling their homes, going to townhomes. So
Mhm. Okay.
there's a vast spectrum, and it depends on the individual. But no, I'm not seeing like a whole influx of younger people going towards condos and townhomes.
Mhm. You like to hear that. You see him smiling over there, right? You like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm glad you
I
set him
mean,
straight.
I'm happy to see younger people starting
Mhm.
off very young in terms of investing, getting into fix and flips. Actually, the one thing about some of the younger generation is they're more risk takers, which is, no
Time to do it.
risk, no reward.
Time to do it. That's
So
right.
it's definitely the time. I definitely encourage as many young people, now this crypto stuff I'm not sure of. I
Well,
can't speak
I
to
done
that.
told him about that
But
crypto stuff. I don't know about that either.
yeah, but they are going for that too. It's
That's
funny.
right.
Yeah.
It's a meme about, one day that NFT was worth $500,000, the next day it was worth $10. So,
Right. Crypto stuff.
so yeah,
No
it's a little bit
crypto for me.
different. Because,
No.
Yeah.
that whole I'm going to be a millionaire overnight situation.
That's
But
tact.
I,
That's tact for you. That's it.
they,
Right.
hey,
Overnight. Overnight.
There's just more
overnight,
way. It's more ways to make money than your traditional ways. That's all.
yeah, you know what? It's very true. That part is very true. And a lot of it is, again, the younger people now with just having more access to information and listening to the right information. Because what I found is a lot of times we listen to people who just worked a straight 9 to 5. Why am I talking to you about entrepreneurship? Like, how are you going to give me, oh, I wouldn't do that. No, you wouldn't. That's why you work 9 to 5, and that's good. I'm happy for you. But to make sure we're seeking out the more informed people who are at least doing it or have done it and can talk to you. So a lot of times we have to be careful who and where we get our information from. But
So I got one question. Like, now, what is the importance of having a realtor? Some people want to go out here and say, I don't want to pay that cost. I don't want to have to pay that realtor this percentage. How does that protect the home buyer or the seller, having a realtor?
So definitely we have your best interest at heart, for sure. So we want to help you navigate this process. We want to do our due diligence to make sure that you have the knowledge that you need, the tools that you need to make an informed buying decision. We don't want you to get caught in whatever is out there, whatever information is not disclosed to you. As a realtor, we are required, at least in the state of North Carolina, to and I believe in most states, to disclose facts, important information about the property, right? And so going that journey alone, and you do hear that, like, why do I need a realtor? I can just bypass this and save some money. It may cost you in the long run. So I would definitely advise to link up with someone who is going to help you navigate that process and have your best interest at heart.
I guess that goes on the commercial side as well, across the board.
well, commercials different. It's
Mhm.
it's more. It's not so much realtors. Like, there's commercial sites. It's not really a lot of, like, there are some commercial realtors, but with commercial, either it's land, and a lot of times you're going to like a LoopNet or some of these other sites as opposed to a realtor. I do have my real estate license, so but a lot of times it's private sales. It's like our land is from the city. We were deemed developers through the city of Newark. The property in Delaware was purchased through a homeowner. The other was also purchased through a private sale. So, although the guy was a realtor, he wasn't. It was a private owner. So commercial is a little bit different. There are some real, it's a little bit different. But I do encourage, whenever you can, realtors have that fiduciary responsibility, and you can get sued. So if they do the wrong thing, you have some sort of recourse, unlike you just doing it yourself. So at least you can say, hey, they took this responsibility, and whatever. But
Absolutely.
All right.
So no, there's one question that I have for the both of you, and this was something actually that was related to buying a car, and is that you don't want to go in saying that you're paying in cash. Is that a deterrent on your side, if someone came to you and was like, hey, I'm looking at this property, I'm just want to pay in cash, like straight out the gate, or is that something that's encouraged?
Oh, cash is king. Cash is king. Yeah, but you at least in New Jersey, you're not giving a realtor cash, or it's going through a attorney or a title company or
Right.
something. So you're giving someone else cash, and but it doesn't. Cash is king, but
Right.
it
It's
goes
not a
through either an attorney or it's not. Actually, that's how a lot of people lose bids, is because
yes.
and that's why Rocket Mortgage changed their thing. Like, you get a pre-approval from them, like they say you can close in 2 weeks. That rivals cash, because even with cash, you still have to do your title work and some due diligence. So that mortgage thing is one way that they started to help compete. And even with that Chase program, they have a 21-day closing. And if they don't close because of something that happens on their end, I think you get an extra $5,000. So that's, ways that even with them, 21-day closing is pretty good.
Okay.
Corinne?
So absolutely not a deterrent. Absolutely not.
Okay, because I like you said, coming up, it was always said that you wanted to. I know for cars it's a little bit different, but I kind of rolled that over into house buying. Like, you wanted to have something established as far as like I guess it would be a mortgage in that case, to where you're still paying on something to show validity to the banks or whatever the case may be. But now that I know that, that's fine.
Well,
I mean, you can, if you want to, it'll be for to increase your credit score, to show that you have a high, liability, and you're paying it off. Definitely. You know, I actually like that idea for especially if you're establishing yourself,
Mm.
as opposed to just going in and paying cash. But to put it on there for 6 months, or at least a year, of showing that you're paying this high value asset off, and establishing a nice payment history to boost up your score, because no credit is just as bad as bad credit, if not worse. So you definitely
yes.
want to have, cars, houses. Those are the things that really, that boost up your credit score. And for some people, they like the tax write-off. Like, I've heard people say that too, that when you buy it and you're paying it, you get, a tax benefit. So
Okay.
Okay, so what about when someone gets to a point? I've always heard this, and my philosophy is pay it off if you can pay it off. But they say, well, you know, don't pay your house off so soon because you get the tax write-offs and all that
I've
stuff.
heard
And
that.
and
That's
I don't believe that. I believe you just pay it off and you just pay whatever taxes to do.
okay. There you
But
go.
but but is that the right way, or what
I
in
think
your
it just depends on your financial situation and your tax, having a good accountant to help, kind of navigate. Like, it just depends on what your situation is and what you feel more comfortable, and what your tax person advises you. And then, like, I can't wait to pay a whole bunch of tax money, because that means I'm making a whole bunch of money. So, you know what I mean?
I,
I'm joking, but it really depends on, your situation. Like, I've heard that. Like, I've heard tax people say both things. I've heard tax people say, don't pay it off, because if you pay it off, then you won't get that tax benefit. You won't get that tax write off. And, so it really depends on the whole picture of what the situation is.
Corinne?
Right. It's one of those. It's one of those avenues where, again, it's not a one size fit all. So it just depends on the person. It depends on, like Andrea was saying, your situation. So um, I can't say definitively, like, that's right for you, that's wrong for you. So
But you have heard that as well as Andrea has heard it as well. You
yes,
heard that,
yes,
like, you want to keep a mortgage as long as you can because you get that, I guess,
Hmm.
tax write off on the interest you paid that on the house during that year. for every year.
Yeah, and then I think if you have investment product, you get depreciation and
All right.
appreciation, those type of terms. But you do, get some of those write-offs.
Oh no. This has been very informative. Like they dispelled the mythos about. Like I said, the main thing was going to a realtor and saying I'm paying in cash, because I've heard that that doing that for housing and cars is like a no essentially. And so with these two letting me know that that's not the case, I feel a little bit more relieved now that it's only essentially one thing. Well, I guess it's still, I don't know if it will apply to vehicles, but I have to figure that out because I'm hearing differing stories about how you go about that, but that's neither here nor there.
So ladies, what's the future of your industry? I know I work in the power industry, so and it's changing. So how's the market in the new era, and how people just the market itself, how does it change your jobs as a whole as an agent from 10 years ago?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know, the internet has become a lot bigger in terms of marketing and access and, promoting yourself. And that has definitely changed. And just like for us, we have a website where, you can look and you can apply for a fix and flip over the web, and we'll get it and then talk to you. Or if you're an investor, you can go in and say, I would love to, put $10,000 towards a multifamily and get a specific return without, talking to us. So it's changed. That has definitely changed. Um, and then you have access to buying properties all over the world. Like some people don't. So like Corinne was saying, some people are sight unseen. They'll buy land or something in the Midwest without going there and seeing it, just based on the internet. So it's a lot of different, a lot more different opportunities that you can take to buy properties around the world without ever going there.
And it's become, like Andrea was alluding to, more digitized. So, the market is, essentially in your hand. You can search anywhere for and query anything that you would like, from bedrooms, bath, anything that you would like. It's actually in your hands. So, I remember, you would go and pick up the books, right, physically, and look at it. Not anymore. Everything is on the internet. You schedule appointments digitally. You can do everything is so virtual now. And so I think, like with technology, with most technological advances, I think, it's definitely making it easier to navigate through the market, not just for realtors, but for clients as well.
So is
Yeah,
there any?
actually part of our development in Wilmington, the 225 units, the architect has like these ocular glasses so that you will be able to see and walk through as the apartments are being developed. So we won't have
See
to
Tax smiling. He loves
theoretically.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's the metaverse. I'm like, actually, that's why I picked up. I'm like, look at this. We put the ocular glasses on. You're like walking around your future apartment. So those are different advances and things that'll be
So,
going on.
so the change in the industry. Do you see that your job or the hands-on, face-to-face communication is going to change, or is this going to pretty much just set in stone? It's going to be that kind of one-on-one contact with agent, client, person. Is it going to be virtual?
I hope not. I really think it is something in meeting people face to face. I really still, with all the stuff that is going on, I still want to have that human to human interaction and to see the excitement when people go into their first home, first apartment. That type of stuff is priceless. So I hope that certain aspects still remain that human to human type of interaction. So I do hope that we don't become a world of completely digitized places, because I think even now has you see a lot of kids are socially awkward because all of this playing on a video, just having conversations with people have become more difficult. They're texting people upstairs. Instead, you know what I mean? Instead of just talking or calling, it's texts. So I really
Cat,
hope we
that's
can get
cat
back
right
to
there.
some.
Cat does that.
What?
Yeah, right.
No.
That whole thing, like I'm right here. You don't have, So I'm hoping that we still can keep that human, because it is something for being able to verbalize and to have that human to human connection.
Right. It's hard to know, what the future entails, or what this is going to eventually evolve into. But hopefully we'll definitely still have our space.
All right. So, Tag, now what I want to tell the viewers, or get the viewers from the home ownership is important. And the value of it is like you were saying, is generational. It goes generations if you hold on to it and you do the right things and you keep it in, and
Mm-hmm.
just don't throw away your wealth, or don't think it's because a lot of people think it's hard to buy a house. They think they can't get a house. It's I just can't get a house, but I can get this apartment. The only thing I do is sign this lease, and I got a place to stay. And what I'm gathering from you is they just don't know what's out there that can help them purchase a home. Is that correct? And how does that look in the Black community compared to going to a community that is not? Is it harder to get it, or or you, is it obtainable to purchase a house wherever, if it's in your price range for any?
Absolutely.
Yeah, is
If
it
it's in your
obtainable?
price range, that's
Right, if it's
that's
in your
that's
price range.
the yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And again, it's anything worth having is worth working for. So if it takes you, and some people it may take. I've had clients when I was doing the residential side. It was a 6-month process, because that's how long it took for them to get up to credit worthiness to pay down their debts. So you know, as
So
a
you'll
as a
have that
realtor
interaction
too.
for 6 months with the client?
Yeah, you can, yes, because it may
Wow.
take them that
Okay.
long to get ready. Like, you're not ready yet. You have to pay down debt. You you have to bring your credit score up, and it may take 3 to 6 months. So you have, and that's something that may be different for our community than for some, that we
Mm-hmm.
have clients that you're prepping,
Mm-hmm.
and that they know what they have to do, and then they do it, and then they're so happy. So yeah, and they have to
Right.
save up money. So each month they putting away money to get up to a certain threshold. Because even when you buy in a house, you save up 10,000. The bank don't want to see you have to use 10,000. You know, they want to see at least maybe 13 or 12 or something that you're not just completely tapped out. So you know, it that can happen. That
And
definitely can happen.
right. And it's attainable. And, I think what some people take away or what some people view are those critical indicators that we're discussing now.
Mhm.
Income,
Mhm.
credit, debt, especially student loan debt. So when we look at those critical indicators, they seem large, and it seems like it's so challenging. I can't attain
Mhm.
that, but it's a process, and it's
Mhm.
all about being informed and working through that process. But it is attainable. It's
Because
not
a lot of people need
impossible.
to hear that, yeah. Because a lot of people just don't think they can do it. They can
Mhm.
purchase a home, and listening to the professionals like yourself, you can. It's going to take some work, but you can do it. So the
Mhm.
first thing is just
Absolutely.
got to make your mind up. That's what I want, and then talk to a representative or realtor, and a gathering. You'll guide them through that process, however long
Absolutely.
it takes. Okay.
That is absolutely true. And then I'm gonna put my email information and website into you
And if you got
guys'
any
chat.
questions for them, please put it in the comment section.
Right,
They'll,
and you
they'll
can, and we'll definitely get back to you. We'll definitely get back to you.
but
Absolutely.
go ahead.
Oh no, no. I was gonna say I just wanted to thank the both of you for being here,
Absolutely.
answering our questions, and if you had any like closing remarks or anything you wanted to leave the people, the floor is yours before we get out of here.
Well,
Corinne?
I just want to. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Corinne
Uh,
first, and then
Go ahead.
go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
So
Go,
go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to
okay.
say I encourage you know your your listeners, your followers, to look into real estate as a means for obtaining real wealth, um, because it is one of the key ways that a lot of people gain wealth. So I definitely encourage you to look at that as one of your streams, and to partner and learn, and then get involved in different investment groups. And if you have land too, because that's one of our deals in Delaware, is the guy owned the land for years, and he started to work on it, but he didn't have enough money to do what I said about soft costs. So he brought us in, and we're bringing in all the money and all the know-how to build. But instead of him just selling his land to someone else who he has an equitable share, which will be passed down in the project. So it's all types of ways that things can be done if you just reach out. So I'll leave our information.
All right. Thank you. Corinne?
And so I will close just by re-emphasizing the point that, despite the different challenges, despite all of the critical indicators out there that we've discussed, that Black home ownership is still important, right? It's still necessary. And just like we said, it's very much attainable, and it's absolutely worth striving for.
All right. Well, no, ladies, thank you for your time. It's great wealth of information, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it.
Good.
And make sure you leave your information, because I might have other questions. Because, I need to expand, look at some investment properties, and wait for that decline to hit, and be ready for it when it
Yeah.
happens. So Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you all next week. And until then, you all be safe. And until next
All right.
time, we're out of here. Later, everybody.
Bye.